Hello, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Lewis the Tech Guy. I am Lewis the Tech Guy. In today's video, we're going to be creating a simple list where you can slide to remove, and I even added this little special feature where you can undo it and add the item back. All right, stay tuned for more. All right, so I got rid of everything. Basically, all I have is a material app, false my app. My app is a stateful widget, and it returns the my app state. And I created a title with Lewis the Tech Guy. I have my scaffold with an app bar with the title, color blue, true, container. So nothing special, just almost your default what you get out of the box. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to generate my list. So in here, I'm going to create a var called items, and I'm going to use the function of list.generate. And what this is going to do is going to create a list of us. And this is what you do when you just going to want to practice with the list. So the first parameter I give it is the length, and I'm just going to do 20 for now. Then the index, and then what do I want my list to be composed of? And so for now, I'll just create a simple list of strings. And I don't know why my IDE is acting crazy there. And the strings will say item, and then we'll represent the index plus 1. So first item be item 1, item 2, so on and so forth. So then down here I will remove my container, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a list view builder, and this is going to build my list for me. And the first thing I'm going to do is give it the item count, so how many items are going to be returned in my list. So this is going to be items.length. Simple enough. Then I'm going to do item builder, and in here we're going to return a function. And the first let me go back here, bring this back. What I want to do is that so you got to pass two parameters in here. First is context, so the whole screen essentially. So this is this context right here. It's going to go through here, and the next thing is the index. So where are we in this list, right? And then from here, we're going to take that items list. We're going to call it a final. I'm going to do item, and we're going to take that items list, and every time I index, so that way we have the nice little package in here instead of going items index dot value or to string or whatever, right? And then finally in here, normally what you would do is you would return a list tile, and then you could say title, and then in here we would return a text widget, and would say item. And that would be normally how you just take your list and generate a list. But as of right now, we don't have a slide function. So what we want to do is, instead of returning this list tile, we're going to wrap this in a dismissible widget. Dismissible. Here we go. And let me format my code there. So with IntelliJ, I hit Control-Alt-L, and that formatted my code for me. All right. So the first thing I want to pass to my dismissible is a key. So basically it's identifying each object that goes through with a key, and I'm going to give it the item as the key. And then what we want to do is we want to call a function on dismiss. So what's happening when we dismiss? And we're going to pass as a parameter, we're going to pass the direction. And there's a lot of cool things which I won't cover in this video, but some pretty cool things you can cover with the direction. And actually, just to give you a little hint, what I'm going to do is I am going to, and actually let me do it like this just to make sure. What I'm going to do is I'm going to print the value of it just so you can get an idea of how to play with it every time we swipe it. So you can see what kind of parameters to evaluate. So if I swipe item 10, down here it gives me my dismiss directions, end to start. So this was the end and it went to start. If I swipe the other way, it'll say start to end. So you can do things based on which way you swipe. So that's pretty cool, but not what we're going to be doing for today's class, or today's lesson I should say. So here what we want to do is we want to remove it, and as you can see, it's already kind of removing it, but it's not really removed from the tree. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this set state, And what we're going to do is we're going to go into items dot remove at, and we're going to pass the index. Okay. So now if let's start from scratch because I only have 10 items and I don't want to be missing any. So now if I do it, it really removes it from my list here. All right, so that's pretty cool. What I want to also add here, so I'm still within the dismissible here. So this is a dismissible. I'm right after the on dismissed parameter here. So what I want to do is I want to select background. I'm going to pass in a container, and the reason I'm doing this is just pure decoration, and the color of that container is going to be colors.red, and you can pick whatever color you like. It's not very consequential. So when I swipe like this, now I have a container in the background, so it gives it a little bit more meaning and feeling there. All right, Control-Alt-L, kind of format my code there. All right, so the next thing I want is I want a little snack bar to pop up down here, which will give me the option to undo. Right? So what I'm going to do is right here, right after my set state, I'm going to say scaffold.of context, and we're going to pass in the context, and we're going to say show snack bar. And don't forget your ending semicolons there. And then in here we're going to actually pass the snack bar object, and in here we're going to do content, and we'll say text, and in here we'll say we'll pass in the item, and we'll say was removed. All right, so we'll do that like that. We'll hot reload this and swipe it, and now I should get my little thing. Beautiful. But what I want is I want an undo option now. So I want to be able to undo any mistakes that I make. So that way we'll go from there. So I'm going to take my text and I'm going to wrap it in a row. All right. And then after the text item was removed, I'm going to add another text of undo. Okay. Hot reload that, swipe, and as you can see, it's right after it, not exactly what we were looking for. So what I'm going to do is inside my row, I'm going to add something to the main axis alignment, and it's going to be main axis alignment dot space between. Okay, so main axis alignment dot space between, and that'll give us some space between it evenly to the ends there. So hot reload that, swipe, and now I have my undo button where I want it, but it still doesn't do anything. I still have all my items here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into my text, right, and I'm going to wrap it with another widget, and the widget I'm going to select is a gesture detector. So bring this down. Now I'm only going to bring this up because I had so many issues with this when I was first doing this. If you do not give your gesture detector a child, you're going to have some major issues here. So when you swipe, it's going to blow up like this. And the reason it does that is because there's no child here, so it takes over the whole screen. So that is not what you want. So if you hot reload that and swipe now, you have this still here, okay? I'm going to restart it, and while I do that, I'm going to add my on tap function. So basically we're saying, what do we want to happen when we press on this undo text? And for now, let's just print our let's say item dot to string, and it's not liking that, so instead of giving it the $sign, I'll just say item to string like that. And if we hot reload that, we'll swipe and then click undo, and if I look in here, it's item 10 that was pressed. Okay, but that's not what we want to do either. We want to add this back. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say item dot insert, items dot insert, and then we're going to pass the index, which is the same index here, because remember we're in this list, so it's keeping account of it, and the item we're going to pass is item to string, because basically we wanted to say item 8, 9, whatever be the item, right? So it's going to grab the index. So when I swiped, there was an index, right? And it's going to take that index, put it back there, and then give it the same value. Okay, so let's hot reload this. Let's try it on number 9 and then do undo. As you see, I'm pressing on it, something's happening. All right, let's try it again. So I press and I press and I press, undo, and as you can see, the item 9 is there now. And if we hot reload this, all our item 8 is there. over and over again, and that's not exactly what you want, right? And so there's a few issues here. One is that you're allowed to re-add a few items a few times, and then if you swipe here, now we're going to get this nasty error, and we don't want this. Now there's a few ways to handle this, but what I chose to do is I think a very simple way. So I'm going to get rid of my print statement, and I'm going to call set state, and in here I'm going to cut this and paste it in there, and then I'm going to do scaffold dot of context builder dot hide current snack bar. So that way I get rid of it and it gives me time to update the list. So let's start from scratch, because that way we won't have 20 item 8s. So we do there, and then we do undo, and there, undo, and as you can see, no problems at all. And if I reload this and swipe it out, undo, no problems at all. All right, this has been another tutorial for you. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. Thank you very much. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else you'd like to see.